video, and we're laughing because it depends what thumbnail you just clicked in on, because one of them is like my face.
Refreshed.
Oh, lordy. Anyway, whatever. Bit of a shit show, really.
Well, those
in
of
a
you
way.
getting the mugshot.
We all have our not so flattering angles, shall we say?
Yeah, all mine.
Anyway.
Every single one.
All right. So anyway, we just did a whole intro over on when I realised that we were unlisted. And so first Sunday of the month.
Cheers. First
Cheers.
Sunday of the month. Live,
Espresso.
live.
Live. First Sunday is always live. Sundays at noon.
And we're happy to be here with you.
Happy to be here with you, and happy for you to be here with you. Right? Because there's so little of our time that is actually scheduled for ourselves, and yet we expect ourselves to just run along. Oh, it changed. Excuse him. In the corner.
In the corner.
I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, and if you do join us, do let me know how the sound's doing. I'm not like, oh, let me caress my hair. I'm actually trying to keep it away from my microphone right here. But yes, let me caress my hair. No. The Sunday Sit. A place for you to come and meet you and have that time as a human being, because so much of our time is spent as a human doing, and we can think that we need to do our spiritual practice when really actually we probably need to more take care of this human being and the doings that it gets on with. So yeah, that's what we can do. The more that we can come and be with ourselves, the better we get to know ourselves. And the better we get to know ourselves, well then the more we can the more we can be in charge of doing what we set our minds to do, right? So how often is it that you decide that you want to do something, or that you should do something, and off you set, plans and everything all in place, and it doesn't work out like that, right? Habits, they grab hold of us, and that's why they're called habits and not, occasionals, because occasionals are occasionals until they are habitual, right? And so once they become habitual, and as human beings, we're very habitual, because that's how our brain is wired. Our brain is wired because it is extremely clever, right? And once it knows how to do something, then it can check in at the beginning and, oh, I know what I'm doing here, and kind of check out until the end, when it checks back in again, whirring around, having been over here and doing whatever else, right? And so it clicks in, and it feels like it's almost automatic, because, well, it is, right? Because we've got to get in there. We can't get in there unless we spend time with it, right? It's like if we were watching a machine, but only by our familiarity with it, only by getting to know it, only by seeing its normal pulses, only by seeing its normal way of being, do we then get to see, first of all, when it's out of sorts, right? Because we now know what it's like when it's in its, but then we can also start to watch for, especially when we're talking about habits, which is what we're going to talk about, when we're looking for that, because we need to work backwards, and we need to start seeing things earlier before they like click into that kind of like the washing machine, right? When you turn the washing machine on, you've got that few seconds before it goes, and that's it. Right? That's it. It's like locked now, and it's like, no, you're not, you can pause me, and you got to wait for me to do my and say, yes, you can. Right? It's true, isn't it?
It's true.
That, right? So that's what our habits do, the same thing. you put your money in, or if you don't have coin operated, lucky you, you just loaded your washer, you put the lid down, and you're waiting for it to cycle round, right? And so getting to know where that point is, because there is in our habits, is kind of that point of no return, is that point of knowing exactly what you're doing and doing it anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Whichever one it is. And perhaps all of them. Right? So the more we can get to literally just kind of sit with ourselves, the more finely tuned we'll get into how we kind of do things and the things that we decide to do. And then also, we've got to really be a lot more discerning about the things that we decide to do, and we become, I think, more discerning about that, right? Like really realizing what it is. Like, is that really something that's important, or is that something that I think I should be doing, or someone else? So let's talk about the comment that we got, because that's what we're going to do, and I'll read this from Katy. Hi, Katy. Happy Labor Day, by the way. It's 22 years ago to this weekend that I got naked at Harbin Hot Springs, and life would never ever be the same again. How about that? Talk about that another time.
Talk about habits.
Talk about habits, indeed. You see, like, none of what is today was back then, of my, like, nothing. So Katy writes in, hey guys, always happy to watch a new video from you both. I was wondering if you would consider posting a video regarding sobriety, as drinking alcohol in the last few years became a coping mechanism for me and most everyone I know. I decided to cut nicotine, alcohol, and the green stuff for the last 6 months, and I found it such a better way to live. I know cutting out these forever may not be on the cards for me, but then again, it's made finding peace in the present moment so much easier. I'm 28, turning 29 in a couple of months, getting married in September, and so it's been difficult but well worth it. If you have any tips from experience with fasting, giving up things that no longer support you, I'd love to hear. Whoa!
There's a lot there, isn't there?
There's a freaking lot there.
Yeah.
So this will have to have
It's
a
good
follow-up.
stuff,
This is fantastic stuff. I love it. I mean, I really do. Sobriety. So we've got three things. Well, first of all, we've got like habits, like general like habits going on here. And then we've got the particular habits of drinking alcohol, cutting nicotine, and the green stuff. Marijuana, Mary Jane, weed, whatever you want to call pot, whatever you want to call it. The green fairy. For the last 6 months, I found it such a better way to live. I have questions. I know cutting these out may not be the cards, but finding peace in the present moment. Getting married in September. Congratulations. We're in September, so that is this month. So congratulations to you for that. Giving up things that no longer support you, and I think that's a great place to start. I can take those off now. So congratulations on all those things. And so I think that's what we were saying, is knowing what it is that we really do want to give up. So on those three things are why. Number one is, like why, the why behind them. And if that's social pressuring, if it's because of other people, you've got to come to a place for yourself, I think, that you want to do that.
Your own personal why.
Yeah, your own personal why. And really have mind on board for it. And so really getting yourself, because it's something that you habitually do and possibly enjoy. And that's another thing, is as you're doing the thing, are you enjoying it? Like literally, when you're doing the thing, take away the guilt, because there's a lot of guilt when you feel like you need to stop something. If you're doing it, you're doing it, right? So that would be my first thing, is that whilst you are doing it, you're doing it. right? And then take notes, like how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel when you're doing it? And I think oftentimes it is because of other people, and there can be a lot of, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor, but a lot of kind of stuff that when someone wants you to do it, you do it all the more to kind of spite them, maybe spite yourself. So not going into all of that, I don't know about all of that, but I do know that that's what you've got to kind of look at is, first of all, is are these really the things? Second is, do they all go together, or do you do separate? And I think those do sound like they go together, though you could technically maybe, I was going to say weed out. Weed out the weed. Could weed out the weed. I used to smoke my nicotine with my weed, so that was really hard to give up smoking. Personally, it took me a very long time to stop smoking, and then a couple of times after not smoking for a couple of years, something took me, and I thought it would just be the one packet. I think that took 3 times to realize that it takes 6 months to give up after one packet. And you go through that thing and giving up is I think the process of thinking that you want to give up is the hardest, right? It's actually harder than the actual process of giving up, because you just make all these agreements with yourself, and then you break them, and then you
make them,
oh
break
God,
them.
it's just awful. I mean, we both used to smoke together.
Yeah.
It was, giving up was just terrible.
It was.
And then you've got one's given up and one hasn't given up. It's very hard. So, so first of all, is getting real with yourself about what it is you want to give up and whether they belong together, which these do sound like their triggers could be, together. When you drink alcohol, you want to have a cigarette, and you might want to smoke some weed. I don't drink alcohol and I don't have cigarettes anymore, but I can have some weed. That's knowing yourself, right? Second is knowing your triggers. And so how can you manage your environment to manage those triggers? And like the washing machine, get to know where it is, what it is, what's that thing that you do that then sets off the kind of domino effect, if you will, of the habit just kind of unfolding before your very eyes. And then you're like vowing to yourself, just the last time, it's just the last time. Well, I'll just finish this pack. Well, it's just, Saturday night, so if it's one more, and but that half a pack.
I'll quit on Monday.
I'll quit on Monday. Well, oh shit, I've got 4 left from last night, so I'll just smoke those 4. I'll right? So we keep making those, we keep going around. So making peace with yourself in that cycle that, you're doing the best that you can, because you can beat yourself up. And I think we can be almost addicted in a way, or not addicted, used to, right? We don't use that over here very much. We can become used to, accustomed to not feeling good about ourselves, depending on who we are in the world. And possibly if you're here, that would be you as well. Yeah. Right? And so we can do that. And so we have to be aware of that. And then when we do attempt to give up, it's going to take as many times as it takes. And that can be the hardest, because you and sometimes those around you can be like, oh yeah, giving up again, are you? Yeah, well, we know how that turns out, don't we? Mm-hmm. How many times is it since you gave up? How many times have you given up now? Yeah, and you're still doing it? Mm-hmm. Now you're going to give up again? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what you've got to do with that voice is you've got to say, yes, again. Mm-hmm. Until you don't. And I think that really is the truth, right? It can be 999 times. It can be 1,111 times that you've given up, right? And then started again. But it can be the 1,112th time that you don't. But definitely, if you don't try again, you will definitely not ever stop. And so we just keep trying until we do stop, and hopefully along the way we learn something about ourselves, right? And maybe we say, you know what, right now it's not a good time, or right now I'm going to do this one, or right now I'm not doing any of them. I'll revisit it. We come to our own peace, right? I don't know if that helps at all. I'm thirsty. I'm looking for my water.
I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't bring it over actually. So.
No, here's your water, but I was looking for mine. It doesn't sound like
Oh, you can have some of mine.
I don't want yours. I want mine.
Yeah. Drink up.
Holler if any of that's making sense to you. Oh, it's thirsty. How are you doing? We're at the beach this morning. I got Cemaaj to come with me. Having new experiences in Bolsa Chica and Sunset Beach. Having been a creature of habit to Newport Beach and the Bolsa Chica Conservancy, which is across the road and is miles of wetlands trails. So it's been super exciting last weekend and this weekend, getting to know that area a little bit more, and I shall endeavour to do so even more. Just a 30-minute drive from home. Anyway, habits, they really can get us feeling quite stuck. So what we just want to do is make traction, and quite often we're getting from one day to the next. For me, for the cigarettes, I just haven't had the next one. So I've been given up about 1,111 times in my life. The last time I just decided that I wouldn't say yes to the next one. And I just haven't said yes to the next cigarette. I think it depends on how your mind works and how your being is as to what sounds good to you. But you have to do like a sales job. And if marketing didn't work, then people wouldn't pay lots of money for adverts and things. There's a certain way to talk to people to get them to do and feel what you want them to do and feel. We have to become our own best marketing experts. How do we talk to ourselves to get ourselves to do what the marketers can get us to do without even knowing us? Because we don't know ourselves, you see. We're more unique than all of that. And so once we can tap into that and we can use that for ourselves, then we can start to make some changes, right? And trust me, it's still fucking work, because the marketers, they've still got to work at their next campaign and they've still got to think it up, right? So it's not just a given, but it's definitely the traction that you need in order to set the job going. And it's very that you can't do it without, you're just talking to everyone and you're talking to no one. And so it's doing the same with yourself. You're just trying to do something because, right? So you've got to get really personal about it. And you've got to give yourself a lot of grace along the way. Because that's again, that we are accustomed to feeling bad about ourselves, so we are a self-perpetuating prophecy in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. When you're gonna fall off the wagon. That's a given.
Hell yes.
That's a
You
given.
ain't falling off, you ain't slipping back, then you're not going forward. And I think that's how we get the best. We don't go to success. We're back and forth, but that which expands never contracts right back, so that we keep expanding, coming back, expanding, coming back, expanding, coming back. And We can gain strength in that. And then we might kind of stay here before we move and stretch to the next part, right? But we build in that that wobble room. Yeah. Like when I first started in the Bank of America building, it was 52 stories high in the first wind, an actual building on the 50th floor. We were rocking. I was terrified until they told me that it was built on rollers and built to shake in the earthquakes and the wind. We need to be able to do that, build that in.
Yeah.
So, shall we just sit for a minute?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's sit for a moment.
Let's sit for a moment. Just sit for a bit of quiet, shall we? Let's think about that. Think about, quite often, you think we've got to do all these other, spiritual things. Quite often, we've just got to be able to come and be with ourselves. And that can be any number of things where we can just be kind of quiet in a way that's not stimulated by something external, right? So you can just literally be sitting with yourself if you can do that, because I can remember a time when I couldn't do that. I just had to be doing something. So anyway, come seated.
I forgot your clock. So
He forgot my clock, so I'm going to just wing it. Give me that one right now.
Ah, there's one.
I've got
There we are.
There we go. All right. Going a little over 30 today because, well, we're live and that's what we do. And if you, like Katy, have questions, give us a holler. And we'll do much more on the habits and getting unstuck because we've got a little call coming up about that as well. So get unstuck and into the life and body you love. But for now, let's come seated in a comfortable position. And we can sit nice and, tall in that our shoulders are sitting over our hips. Breathing in, bringing the shoulders up slightly, and then as we exhale, taking them back and down, just opening up the chest. And then bringing the neck down just slightly. Bringing the chin down, sorry, the neck. Bringing the chin down a little bit towards the front of the neck. It's a very confusing instruction right there. Breathing naturally, letting the body breathe, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. Settling in, right? Here you are, nowhere else, nothing else to do, nowhere else to be right now. You've chosen to take this time for yourself. That is a good thing. Starting to settle into whatever's going on around you that you no longer have to be a part of. But knowing that it doesn't have to be quiet on the outside for you to be quiet on the inside. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Nothing to do, allowing the mind to just unwind. It gets caught up in a thought. Bring it back. Repeating to yourself, breathing in, breathing out, and allowing those words to be an anchor. To rest your mind. allowing the thoughts to arise. To pass by. As the observer of your mind, where does it go when it has no instruction? Gentle awareness without judgment. An onlooker. Gathering information. Dialing in and registering that this soft feeling that you feel right now, connection to yourself, that softness, is available to you anytime you sit and connect with your breath and just allow yourself to be, that you can get here, that you can feel this anytime. Take a nice deep breath in. Shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. We're going to exhale through the mouth, let the shoulders come down. Let's do that again. Inhale, shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, drop the shoulders. Exhale through the mouth. One more time, because I like 3 better than 2. You can butterfly your eyes open.
Hello.
I don't know about you or you. I love that. You notice after we did the breath and we dropped the shoulders and then you just sit there for like that stillness after movement like that, after stillness. So like you've been sitting, you've got a nice stillness, and then you do some kind of movement, and then you stop. And then that like, I love that. That's one of my favourites, that is. Do you know, could you understand? Do you feel that too? Anyway, I don't know how long it was because I just went off rogue for as long as I felt. So that's it. That's our Labour Day Live, talking a little bit about habits, and we'll have a lot more to come. But until then, you can join us every Sunday, or join yourself, sit and meet yourself every Sunday. Videos drop at noon, and then on the first Sunday of the month, we have a live. And so that's us goofing around live. And if we set it up right, then we set it public instead of being like the other one, which was set up not. I realized about 9 minutes into recording. Better late than never. Anyway, wishing you a very happy Labor Day if you are in the US, or a happy Sunday if you are elsewhere. Let us know. Sending much love.